Hey everyone, it's Desiree. Still with my cold, but I could not wait any longer to get this launched so that you could see the new Pink and Main Crafty Courtyard subscription box and my 5-card one kit that I did from it. Again, I was very honored when I was asked to help promote this kit for them. The theme for their very first kit is called It's a Party. And what's great is the card shows the card stock that you get within the kit. I did a reveal and I'll make sure I'll link it here in the upper right hand corner. But this card tells you what's in the kit, what you get, the colors, and so on. So it's kind of cool that you do get that. What we're going to do, I'm going to start right into the cards, and at the end, this is available for purchase or subscribing. So I will have that all linked towards the end, and I will give you some more information. So for the first card, I'm actually playing with, because I couldn't resist, of playing with the thank you gift that you get when you do become a subscriber and you receive your first box for your subscription, and more with that information. So I use their cloudy frame die because I think it's absolutely precious, and what I love about that die is the fact that it does the cutout in the center. So for the center, I used black, and for the outside, I used the cards, one of the solid card stocks that came in the kit. I then used the stamps, and I just had to use all of them, whether they were the outline, whether they were the solid. Those outlines are going to be awesome to watercolor. Yeah, just things I'm seeing. And I had to use the Wow embossing powder, which of course is the sparkle. So I used the dies then to cut it out, and I have them ready. So I pretty much did 2 of each. Now the high outline didn't come out right, so I'm not going to add that, which is fine because we all know how I love my odd numbers. So I'm just gluing these down onto the black panel, and I want to make sure they're going to toggle between the solid and the outline, but I thought this is going to have some great shimmer. And even the cardstock that I used, which is like the lakeside, it's got a pearlescent tone to it. So that's even more shimmer coming around this card. But I do like how these words, even when the solid ones, by using the embossing powder, you know, I was afraid that, you know, you were going to lose the words. But I think they come out great. The one that I wanted to make sure was at the bottom is the hello, because I had to use one of the scripty sentiments from the same stance set, and it says a happy. That's my favorite one. I use it a lot because I think it is absolutely precious. I am using for the first time, just a little side note here, the Brutus Monroe Alabaster White Fine Detail. Yeah, I'm kind of loving that, especially for the fine detail. More on that to come, not the time. So I'm using my small foam squares because I do want the hello down there propped up. I clean away my anti-static powder with one of my microfiber towels. I think especially on black, it cleans it out perfectly. I'm going to remove all the release paper from the hello, and I'm going to set that right up underneath the word happy and towards the center. I'm then going to remove all of this wonderful release paper from my frame. That took a while, but it's worth it because I did want the outside frame to be raised just a little bit. So with me making the pencil marks from the frame to know where to put the black, I know that when I center this frame around that, it's going to be in the center of my standard A2 size card base. Now this one I did have in my stash from previous kits. It is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, but it is a side folding. So for this one, I wanted to use the balloon die, the solid one. So I chose all of the solid cardstock that came in the kit, except the gray, the sidewalk. And I cut those out, set those aside. I grabbed a piece of scrap black cardstock, and I'm using this awesome congratulations sentiment that's broken up in the lines, and it's just got a very block font to it. I don't know. I just really like this one. This one was just pretty cool. So I'm going to stamp that down, and I'm going to use the same white because I have it on my table. And I'm going to heat set that. I'm still playing around with this. FYI, I did also get the Raven fine detail. So again, I'll let you know as I play with it. I got to play with stuff for a while to see if I truly like it. So far, yes. Once I have this all coated up, I will heat set that with my heat gun. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them. So I want these strips. You know, you always have these, I forget what they're called. I know you guys will know. But once I cut them out, they're blocks with these big, bright, bold letters coming from them. And I want it to sit the way that it's set in the stamp. I'm sure I could put these together. It would be neat if you put them next to each other and, you know, have one propped up on foam squares, one down on the, you know, the card base, so you could get this step level of the sentiment, or make one a little bit higher and a little bit lower. So you could have a lot of fun with that sentiment. Just don't think, oh, it's in this block, this is what I have to do. And you don't have to cut your stamp. You can see that I stamped it and I'm cutting it apart. So you can do a lot with this. But I did like the fact of just keeping it stacked on top of each other. So now I'm just trimming the ends. Didn't want too much black. I wanted it to be close around the letters. And now I'm just going to place the balloons around this. So you can see I have a panel set up from the cardstock, and I used one of my stitch rectangle dies from my stash, and I'm just placing my balloons around. I also made sure many times that I spelled this the correct way, because when I first did this, it was not set right. Yeah, meaning this is still the same card, but before I started gluing and all of that, I had it was conjugulations. It was really funny. But I did edit that out. But it was funny, but I did it. Yes, I almost started gluing. So, sitting here and I was thinking, do I want to prop up? That's why I was twiddling my fingers there. Do I want to prop up some of the balloons? Do I want them flat onto the design base that I'm using here? I decided to put them directly down onto the design base. And now I'm going to put these panels up around where they are sitting. So I have an idea with that yellow one. It's going to jute. It's jotting in from the side. But I know where I'm going to put the bottom part of the sentiment. So I was just having fun. Now, I'm getting ready to put this down, and I'm like, no, not yet. There goes, see, saw that finger to say, wait a minute. I got to grab my black pen and do some doodles. So I want to doodle some strings coming from these balloons and just having fun coming down to the card. So I'm going to go across the bottom part of the balloon, bring the string down, and then just have fun with some wiggles and some lines and some loops. Didn't put too many loops, but I did put some scribble loops, and then put some bows around each of the sides. Yes, the majority of this will be covered up with my sentiment, but you'll still be able to see it. For some reason, I love doing these little balloon lines. I don't know why, but I do. So once that's ready, now we're ready to put our sentiment onto our card. So this, I'm going to use some foam. I'm going to use my foam squares to prop those up, and I'm going to cut them in half so that I can just put them right down the center of each of the sentiment strips. Once they're set, then I'm going to take this panel and I'm actually going to put that on the cardstock. So I'm looking for the cardstock to tie in all the colors that I used. That was something that I looked at too when I was placing the balloons down. I was also conscious, okay, what's on the side? Because I didn't want a blue to sit on a blue stripe. These are just the things that I kind of look at. It's kind of strange, I know. But I do kind of look at that. I didn't want them to get lost within the colors there. I'm going to set this panel right down onto my standard A2 size 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 card base. And again, this is one of my side folding bases from my stash. And I did want the balloons to go off onto the card base itself. I am in love with these glossy dots. I think they're mesmerizing for me when you just look at them. The way it's almost like a mirror that you can look into. Can't describe it, but I just think they are great. So I wanted to play with them, have some of the colors sitting on the balloons, and we're going to come in with some white doodles just to give some highlights onto the balloons. So you can see, just by using a black and a white pen, you can give some embellishment to your cards. If you're not big on embellishment, just those two simple items can do a lot. So for the next card, I'm not sure if this one's my favorite. They're all my favorite. The first thing I wanted to do is I had to use the sentiment woohoo, because who doesn't like to say woohoo? Yeah, see, I even sing that one, woohoo. But I just thought it was great. And I wanted to try, this is the first time that I'm trying the Pink and Main Asphalt ink, the surface ink. I'm very intrigued, I must say. Now, again, I really don't know too much about this. I have read up. It says that it's similar to another brand. What I did find, though, when I went to clean my stamp, it stains the stamp. And I'm okay with that. I don't care about that. It's clean. But I really like the coverage that it gave me. And from what I'm understanding, it is alcohol, water-based, so it is permanent once it dries. Enough about that, but I need to look into that a little bit more. So I have these Sizzix double-sided adhesive sheets. I pulled one out. I put a scrap piece of white cardstock on that, cut around it, and I die cut many of the birthday candles. I just went down on each side. I grabbed a bunch of my alcohol markers. I'm slowly building a Copic collection on certain colors that I'm looking for, but I do have the Prismacolors as well. And I pulled 2 of each. Now, I did leave this little segment in so that you can see. Alcohol markers are my Achilles heel. I just don't give up. I want to keep trying. I know, so I'm going into the Copics, right? Okay. But again, I'm just using 2 colors here. I do very basic coloring. You guys know who to watch when it comes to Copic Coloring. I mean, Kelly and Courtney. I'm always watching them to see what they do and just how they work it. Again, I am just using 2 colors here. Here I'm pulling in some of my Prismacolors and just letting those get shaded on the one side. I kept them in the cardstock after I die cut it because, let's face it, it's easier to color. So thank you, Jennifer McGuire, for showing that. That's where I got that. It is a lot easier to do it that way. Wow. Who knew? Yes, in the past, I would have pulled all of those out and colored them. Yeah. There's a lot of people that would have done it. So I'm just doing purples and blues and greens, and I've got like a coral color there. So now that I've got them colored, I've popped them off, and now I'm just going to town and I want to place them. I really have no idea how many of these I have. I'm looking now, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Of course, I'm in an odd number. Didn't even try that. But I want them to come up underneath the sentiment. So I'm going to have a little bit on the left, and it's going to grow and build up as it comes to the right. So lots of placement. And in this situation, when you're placing these, you want to make sure, which I almost forgot, I started putting them down, the red one down on the left-hand corner, but you can see I have them overlapping. So you want to make sure that you adhere the ones in the back first and then come to the front. Again, I learned things myself. I forget. So yeah, you don't want to adhere the ones in the front because, you know, again, you have adhesive on it. This time I did remember to use my double adhesive. I find it's easier to use my craft pick to get the backing off, or else I was pulling both the backing and the adhesive off of my cardstock. So you can see I'm starting out slow, and then I start getting on a roll once I start pulling in that craft pick to pull off that release paper and set them down. So once I push my finger on the ones on the bottom, they lift up and I'm able to slide the candle in. So here's where I get smart and just go to town and place it in. Now, what you could also do with the ones that have the cutouts on the birthday candles, you could have put another piece of cardstock behind that to have another color there. I kind of enjoy the white coming through. It's a different type of a silhouette, I guess. But that would have been neat. All of them black and gray in the back, and then just have one pop out with color. So there you go. There's another idea. Give that one a try. And if you do try it, I'd love to see it. So now that they're all adhered, I'm going to put this down on a yellow card base from my stash. And this one is a top folding and it is a standard A2 size. But I thought the yellow really made the colors pop. Just know that the asphalt ink cube is a very dark gray. It's not a black, but I do like the dark gray color. For my next card, I'm going to grab just a scrap or a card base or a card design base from my stash. I have these pre-cut and I'm going to use my T-ruler and put a very faint pencil line. You can barely see it on the camera or on the video, so I apologize. But it is very faint going from corner to corner, just on one. Then I'm going to take a scrap piece of paper and I'm just going to use some of my tape just to tape this down. And I want to make sure I'm down in the corner because I'm going to use... There's the stamp that I absolutely love in this set is the elongated happy birthday with the different height letters. I just love it. I think there's just something about it, and the die too. So I saved my favorites for last. Well, the whole thing's my favorite. So what I'm going to do is along that line, I am going to use the birth that's in the center. I'm going to continue to stamp that stamp going along that dotted line or that pencil line that I have, and that birth is going to sit there right across it. Okay, so I'm going to do rainbow colors. So I pulled out my Gina K inks, and I pulled out Sea Glass, Jelly Bean, Wild Dandelion, Red Hot, and Sweet Mango. So I've used the Red Hot and the Sweet Mango, and I'm going to make sure that my stamp is clean in between each color, and I'm just going to make sure it's really inked up because I'm not using my stamp positioner. I didn't want to. You can by all means, and it would probably be easier because you could just move the paper. If you wanted to stamp twice, you could stamp twice. I kind of like the look of, while these inks, the Gina K inks, they do even out and balance themselves. You've got to have a good coverage of it, and if you don't, that's okay. I still like it. It's almost like a scratchy look or a distressed look. So now after the Wild Dandelion, I'm going to come in with the Jelly Bean Green, and then finally I'll come in with the Sea Glass. So you can see, you know, you've got a little bit of the red and you've got a little bit of the blue coming off on the corner. I was thinking about stamping above and below as well to fill up the whole panel, but I knew I was going to die cut it. And I didn't know how much it was going to take away. So I figured I like this line just with the birth going right across it. So that's kind of turned into my focal point. So once that's ready, I'm going to pull in one of my wonky stitch rectangle dies, and I'm going to die cut that panel down, which makes that panel 4 by 5 1/4. I did wait for my inks to dry so that I could remove my pencil line with my white eraser. When it comes to an eraser for here, I always use a white one, and I get them at my local dollar store. So for this, I'm going to work on my sentiment. So I have a piece of scratch black paper here, and I'm going to pull in that happy from the first set that you will get if you are a subscriber. Again, more to come on that. And I'm going to pull in my white detail again, and I will heat set that, and I'm just going to trim this down. I'm not looking for this to be straight, so I'm not worried about making straight lines. I'm okay. It's a little crooked or a little wobbly on this one. I'm going to cut an angle on the one side. Now, you could do this 2 ways. So I wanted to put it down onto the bottom right-hand corner. But I'm going to put my panel first on my standard A2 size card base, which is now a side folding when it was originally a top folding. So I'm going to prop this up with some foam squares. So the 2 places you could put it, I wanted to put it, or I decided down on the bottom corner, because this card can then be looked at 2 ways. So you could either say happy birthday or a happy birthday, or if you look at it and if you take that a happy and put it right near that birth line that you have going on there, it could say a happy birth. So that's what I love about this card. It can be very versatile because a birth is a birthday. So this could be for a new baby, just born, or it could be just for a fun birthday card. But I really, yeah, I was having fun with this one. That's why I love that stamp. So again, look at your stamps. Look at the way that they're set. Look at what they can do. And again, this is something that I've really started to do. For some reason, sentiments, the words, I get a lot of inspiration from them. I don't know. I can't describe it. But that's something that gives me that inspiration to say, okay, this is what this card's going to do. In most cases, I loaded this card up with some sequins because we needed some sparkle and bling. So I hope you enjoyed that one. So that one was a fun one. So for our last card, I know we only did 5. Again, I had to use the die for the same thing. Now what's great with this die is you can either use just the letters or you could use it as a cutout. So I decided to use it as a cutout. I'm kind of going to do, not the whole thing is going to be a shaker card, only half of the card is going to be a shaker card. And I just wanted to play with the balloons. So I'm going to set this in place. Now, here's a little bit of tips. Yes, because there was a lot of tips going on this one. You could save your letters. But if you don't, which is not what I wanted to do, I did not want to save the letters, you need to make sure you save the centers to the A, the P's, the B, the R, the D, and the A at the bottom. Yeah. See that little dot up there next to that small P? Oh, surprise. I don't know if that was the right triangle for the A's, but I was going with it. I think I grabbed a wrong one for the bottom A, but I'm not sure. But we're going with it. So I just pulled in the other balloon die as well, and some of the other, the 3 cluster die, just to give it something to the top and the bottom. I'm going to use my liquid adhesive, and I'm going to go around the happy birthday that I've cut out there, and I'm going to put a yellow piece of cardstock behind it. I thought this color went really well with the pattern paper that I chose from the paper pad that you get. And I think that makes it pop. Now, you don't have to use the centers for the letters. I was just determined. And I didn't want to not do that. But you'll see. Because I had both B's. And they're there. Yeah, you'll see it. It's kind of funny. It made me giggle. So now I'm going to get a piece of acetate ready. I do decide to pull out a larger piece. And I'm going to put glue around my balloons and my other cutouts. And I will set my acetate in place. And then I will cut away the excess once I know that is set. To me, sometimes that's easier for me to do that instead of cutting the piece first. Because this way I can actually manipulate it, move it just a little bit if I have to. Since I do use liquid adhesive to apply my acetate, I don't like to move the acetate too much because I hate it when I get the glue in the front. It's just little quirks that I have. So I pulled out my Scotch 3M roll. I always just like to cut a large piece and then I pinch it between my 2 fingers and then I pull down so that I can get my double layer. I'm going to cut it in half so that I can go around my balloons. And we will get this set up. I won't show all of this, of course, because it takes some time. I do get carried away. I use lots of foam tape when it comes to my shaker cards, especially if it's a full panel like this. I do want to make sure that it will be able to withstand if it does go into the mail. So I'm just checking what this will look like because I know I'm going to have a white background because that's the panel that I cut. Usually when I do shaker cards, I do a panel and then I adhere it onto my card base. Very rarely do I go directly onto my card base for my shaker cards. But I did want this up because I took my pencil and I made a mark in the balloons. I want to put one of our glossy gems down in there. So that's going to sit behind it. Now, that's not the only thing that I'm going to have in there. I'm going to grab some of the confetti sequins that came in the kit. I'm going to grab my staple of the iridescent sequins and just fill that up. But it's going to bounce around those gems. I have some little tiny areas that's going to jot out so that you can play with it and all of that fun stuff. I'm going to grab the other panel that I cut to be the perfect size. I'm going to nicely, it just looks violently, shake the cards so that I can get them moving in case they're piled on top of each other. And you can see we've got some colorful balloons going on there. Now you could have used another piece of the pattern paper. You could have used another piece of the solid cardstock if you wanted some colors to come through there. Absolutely. Sorry for the sniffle. It's an awesome cold. And when I talk this much, it keeps going. I'm going to use my liquid adhesive to put this down onto my standard A2 size card base. And this one is a side folding. That's from my stash as well. And now I'm putting down my glue dots so that I can put my pieces of cardstock or pattern paper in there. So again, I don't know if I grabbed the right triangles, but I thought they were cute. So I have the D in place. I have the B section. And now I'm looking for the other section because I'm not quite sure where I put that. But that's okay. We're going to continue because I'm believing it's somewhere here. I have the R set. I'm still looking for the B. This is what I'm doing because now it's driving me crazy because I can't find the B. Because I know I saved it from my cutting pad in my platinum. This was very stressful for me. I was very upset that I could not find it. And then I thought I lost the little A, the little triangle for the A. And I found it there. I don't know how. So what do? Do we get rid of this card? Do we let it like that? Of course, we keep moving with this card. We do not get rid of it. So we were going to grab a glossy gem. We'll put that in its place, or you could have used a sequin. You could have used a marker, whatever you wanted to do. But in no case in any way is that a reason to stop with your card. So again, we let it go and we keep going. So these are the cards that we've made today. I hope you did enjoy them. I hope you will look into the Pink and Main Crafty Courtyard monthly subscription box. Again, I will link down to the reveal video as well that I did prior to this. But these are all the cards that we made as a close-up. Now, remember, today is the day that you can make your purchase. It has launched for sales for today, February 23rd. Now, as the time that I'm doing this, it is still showing available. These will be shipping on March 15th. Okay, so that's when they will start to ship, March 15th. Now, this kit is for March 2019. All right. Now, when you subscribe, they do ask that you subscribe for a minimum of 3 months. But after that, you can cancel at any time. So you're going to have, when you subscribe, a 3-month minimum to purchase. Now, when you do become a subscriber, you do get that free gift in your first box. You don't get a free gift every time. Just in your first box, you will get that free welcome gift that I've been showing. And that's their way of just saying thank you. So that is an awesome thank you gift. When you stay on for a year, on your anniversary, when you sign up, so it could be this month, next month, whenever, you will get a $25 store credit to use at their website for whatever you want. So think about that, $25. That is awesome. Now, as long as you're also a subscriber, and you're a current subscriber, you're also going to get 15% off discount on any products on the website and in the retail location. Yeah, coming this spring. Hello, need to know more about that. And when they are at stamp shows. So you will get a 15% discount just by being a subscriber. So how much can all this fun be? It's very reasonable at $34.99. Just know that the stamp and the dies are exclusive to the kit. All right? They're right now, I don't know if they'll change their mind, but they will not be available after or separate from the kit. Shipping will be added to that $34.99. So you will pay a little bit more, and that'll depend where you live will be the cost of your shipping. So just keep all of that in mind. Again, I will have everything linked below. If you have any questions, just please leave them down below, and I will make sure that I will get back to you as soon as I can. I hope you did enjoy this video, and yes, I am a fan. I wish Pink and Maine lots of luck on this new journey for them. I know you will be successful. I want to thank everybody for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it, and if you haven't already, I would love for you to subscribe and tune in for my next video. Here are a few other videos I thought you might like. Now, they're kits, and I will also have the reveal here as well if you're curious to know what's in there. Take care, everyone, and always remember, be creative.